of creators from all over around the world, different nationalities, different cultures. And I thought, we're hungry learners, cheeky co-creators, compassionate facilitators, ignorant experimentalists, clumsy innovators. Maybe you could just drop into the chat very quickly. Are you clumsy? Are you hungry? Are you cheeky? Are you compassionate? Or perhaps you're just ignorant? Which one of these do you most relate to in this moment right now? Just drop it in the chat, and that would be quite a fun thing to check out. So again, welcome everyone. This is our beautiful motto, our something that drives our curiosity and our desire for experimenting and connecting and for trying new things, failing forward. There is no other way. And this really is the kind of red thread, the thread line between all that connects all of these different sessions that we do and all the different diversity and disparate and unique ways of seeing the world and being in the world. Be kind to yourself and to everyone around you. Be nice, just be lovely, and be empathic. Practice those empathic tools in the way you think, in the way you speak, in the way you engage. And it's really wonderful to have you all here. And so before we introduce you to our guest, failing forward. Whoa, there's a real fail forward. And so without further ado, a huge warm welcome to our guest today, Lasitha Petthawadu. Welcome, Lasitha. And Lasitha is all the way from India, beautiful India. And
Sri Lanka, he's from Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, oh my God, Lasitha. Sorry, we were talking about, that is terrible. So Lasitha is from Sri Lanka. In fact, Lasitha, Sri Lanka is one of those places. I've been to India, loved India, and Sri Lanka is one of those places that my heart's always longed to visit, and I haven't yet. And so there's a connection between the two. So Lasitha's fascination for computers started at an early age when he spent his time tinkering and programming cool web and mobile apps in Sri Lanka, not in India, in case you got that wrong. All right. Lasitha is an experienced software architect with a passion for Web3 and blockchain-based technology. So when he's away from his work, you can find him spending time with his 3-year-old son building Lego structures. So without further ado, Lasitha, welcome to today, and we really look forward to hearing more about Web3. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, Colin. Thanks a lot. So it's great to be here. So I welcome all of you. So let me start sharing. Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen. Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to speak about product design in Web3. So before we begin, I want to introduce a friend of mine. So this friend of mine is an author and his name is Bob. So Bob is going to walk us through the journey of Web3, and we are going to explore the journey of Web3 in the eyes of Bob and what he's going to do. So first of all, I have a question to all of you. Imagine a world without the internet. I know that even right now we are connected over the internet from far, far away locations. So just take some time and imagine what would happen if the internet was not there. So I want you to maybe comment on the chat and let us know what would happen if the internet was no longer there. What would our lives be? Of course, I guess my job wouldn't exist at all because I'm like totally dependent on the internet. So I'll probably be jobless and I'll have to find some alternative ways of funding myself. Okay, so we are having a lot of thoughts. Life would be much slower. Okay, so that's kind of, yeah, so many are saying that it will be slower. Would you like to have a life that is slower? I mean, if you think of the internet these days and the things that we have, it's always taking up our attention, whether it's social media or whether it's TikTok or whatever that we are on. It's always grabbing our attention and we want to move forward very fast. So would a life that's slower be good? I mean, that's something to think, I guess. What else do we have? So yeah, so we are addicted. Yes. Yeah, so that's a point to ponder. So let's try to look at the journey so far, how the internet came into limelight and how the web evolved. So let's try to see what that is. So our friend Bob is going to go back in time. So unfortunately, he doesn't have a time machine. So he's going to use a spaceship and he's going to travel back in time. So let's see what happens once Bob goes back into the 1980s. So I think you could also go back to the 1980s and recall how internet would have been if you had the chance to use the internet back then. Unfortunately, I was not born in 1980s, so I don't have a recollection of this, but I guess you all could think about it and reflect back to those days. So what was the internet like back then in the 1980s? So in the 1980s, we had this thing called Web 1, or the very first version of the web or the World Wide Web that was available. And basically what Bob could do was just to get information from that Web 1.2. He was able to read articles, he was able to search for things online and just get information. But he didn't have a way of contributing information back there. And if you think of all the websites that existed during this period, most of them were just showing information and they had separate links. So hrefs and links were like the commonality in these type of websites. They were very dull and boring. They had just white pages with just information flowing throughout. Not the interactive videos, nothing like that was available back then. So it was a very dull time to be. So if we think of the modern day websites like YouTube, all of them, those we could not even facilitate such things using Web 1 because the technology was not evolved as such. So now Bob moves back into the present world. So how is it right now? I think all of us know because we are constantly receivers of the websites and the technology that's out there right now. So in today's day and age, Bob can contribute. Bob can share his information with others. If you think of the social media platforms that we have, Bob is able to interact with them, and so can Bob's friends. So we are in a world where we are contributing a lot of data. But I want you to think, where are we contributing this data? Are we contributing this data to directly to our friends, or are we trying to contribute this data to a third-party location? Right? So if you think of any entity or any organization that exists who's providing a service these days, most of the time the data and everything that gets collected would be collected within this organization. So everything is cloud-based and centralized. Even right now, we are streaming live to YouTube. So whatever I'm speaking right now, whatever I'm sharing right now, gets captured on YouTube. It's getting saved over there. Yeah, so Amazon, Facebook, all of these things are examples of taking our data and reusing our data. And we are sharing a major portion of our life events, all of these things on these platforms. We might not be thinking, but we have become the product over there. Without us sharing information, without us being over there, there wouldn't be any existence of these platforms. So this is what we are currently embracing. It's Web 2.0. It's the second version. So we have browsers and we have tools that are capable of showing us videos. It's fully immersed and we can engage with it. So let's see what Bob's up to now. So Bob wants to start his own business. Think about it. So if you want to start your own SaaS platform, software as a service platform, or if you want to launch some kind of a product, a digital product online, what would be the main challenges? What would be like the main issues that you would have initially? So for most of us, it would be, how are we going to bootstrap this? If the idea is big, if the idea is unique, it requires a lot of effort. There might be requirements from development. We would need a development team. We would need to think of the user experience. Designers are needed. So there would be so many things that we need to consider when we want to build our own business online. So similar to that, Bob also doesn't have funds. Bob is just a random otter, right? So he has been enjoying life and he doesn't have funds to start off his business. So what can Bob do? So Bob is thinking that he should create a utility. So let's try to ponder back what this utility might be. So he wants to build a utility that people can buy into initially, and to see whether that will allow him to raise the funds that he wants. So what is Bob trying to do? So what is the platform that Bob is trying to build? So he wants to build a platform where people can buy coffee. So I love coffee. I'm a coffee addict. I consume a lot of coffee per day. So Bob is trying to build a platform which will enable farmers to directly sell their coffee. Right? So farmers who are producing coffee to be able to directly sell the coffee to the people who are interested to buy coffee, people like me. So he's going to build this utility. So what would this utility be? So that's what we are going to look at now. So if you consider Web 3.0, utility could be thought of as any of these. It could be thought of as a golden ticket, which is of limited quantity. Let's say you create an entry or you create a means of getting access to some form of incentive. Let's take an example. So let's say you want to allow people to buy a book, an ebook that you have. And in order for you to produce this ebook, you would go and tell them, okay, I'm going to give passes. I'm going to give free passes. If you go ahead and get these free passes now itself, you're going to get a 20% reduction once the ebook is launched. So before even building or creating your ebook, you could go and create the utility first. You can create the utility on top of the blockchain. So the blockchain allows you to create similar utilities, and then you can give those utilities out to a community. And the community can basically take the utility and they could reap benefits later on, the incentives later on. So a golden ticket, or maybe an exclusive membership, or it could be like a rare collectible. Let's say you're an artist, you're an illustrator, and you feel that your art is very unique. So you could go ahead and produce your unique art, and you can make sure that people are able to get access to this unique art, and at a very premium price. So this would be the utility. So now Bob is also thinking, okay, let's start with the utility. I can build the utility quicker than building my platform. So let's build the utility on the blockchain. So let's see what's Bob up to. So Bob is going to create his own crypto coin, right? So in the blockchain world, you might have heard of different types of crypto offerings available. You have Ethereum, you have Bitcoin, you have Solana. So many coins are available. Even if you want, you can create a coin under your name and create it as a utility. But definitely you should have people who would buy into it. If not, there is no value of it. So this is exactly what Bob is trying to do. So he's going to create an otter coin. So he creates an otter coin, and now he's speaking to people. So he goes ahead and speaks to his friend Mary again, and he's asking Mary, look here, if you go ahead and invest in my coin, if you go ahead and buy my coin, if you spend money right now and if you buy my coin, later on I'll give you coffee at a reduced rate, or you can subscribe to my coffee and every month I will ship you coffee. So that's what Bob is advertising. So once he does that, he doesn't stop there. He doesn't stop with Mary. He's going to go ahead and he's going to talk to different other people. He's going to build a community around his platform. Now, you should think that nothing is built yet, but he's starting with the community. He's building the community. He's giving out his presence, and he's trying to give out the message of what he's trying to do. Because of the utility, people are buying into it. They are funding his utility. So he goes ahead and he finds Jane, Jack, and all of these people, and he builds a marvelous community. So now there are so many people who are ready to fund Bob. So what can we learn in terms of product design? The way Bob approached this problem, what can we learn from Bob? So Bob was able to raise funds without having a minimum viable product. Most of the time when we want to seek out for investments, we need to have something tangible. If it was a Web 2 product, the investor or anyone who is going to give you money should see something. But here, because of the blockchain and because of the way the utility operates, Bob was able to convince people beforehand, before even having anything built. That's one of the good things of this product design. And he has built a strong community that backs him. So from the start itself, he is surrounded by people who would support him, support his ultimate vision, and make sure that he is able to reach that ultimate goal. So rather than you marketing openly using social media or anything that happens right now using Web 2, Bob is able to focus on a very specific set of people who would be contributing to him, who would be helping him throughout his journey. So these are like the main takeaways or the key takeaways of the strategy that Bob is trying to follow. Having an early utility, building a very closely knit community. Okay, so Bob is ready now. So he has got all the funds. He has sold his Otter coin, and now he's finally ready. So his platform is built, and now he is ready to launch. So now what's going to happen? So if we look at the model that Bob is following right now, just to understand better how this Web3 design works, you can see that there are buyers. Buyers are the ones that Bob initially reached out to and got the funding from. That's the community that he has. These are the buyers. Then he has sellers or the farmers. So he reaches out to the farmers, explains the value of his platform, and he goes ahead and builds the platform. So this is the Web3 platform, but you will notice that there's something missing here. If we recall back to Otterbook, there was that centerpiece, the middle part over there. Seems like that's not there anymore. What has happened? So with Bob's design, what has happened is there is no intermediary agent. There is no middleman involved. So Bob doesn't need to go ahead and pay for any other broker or a middleman when the coffee is being shipped. The buyer can directly work with the seller and send over the funds when he's purchasing coffee on Bob's platform. See how powerful that is. So you are eliminating any middleman, and you are having this peer-to-peer communication, or communication among different peers who want to get involved. So the seller is producing coffee. There is a buyer who wants coffee. Instead of going through all the other unwanted intermediaries who would get involved and who would be benefiting out of this, the seller can directly talk to the buyers and sell his product. This is how Web3 functions. So there's no centralized entity, it's all decentralized. Okay, so Bob's business is really successful. So he's selling a lot of coffee. There are farmers producing a lot of coffee, and everyone is so happy and things are going on. So now what happens? As time goes on, so Mary, if you recall Mary, who was the initial investor in Bob's community, Mary wants to have a feature, a new feature request. She wants to have added functionality. So what is Mary trying to ask now? So Mary wants to have a way where she can go ahead and review different farmers. She has found that certain farmers are producing quality coffee. So there is no review functionality on Bob's platform. So Mary goes and reaches out to Bob and is asking Bob, what do you think? Do you think that adding some form of a review function be useful? I find it to be useful. What would others think? So Mary goes and talks to Bob, but Bob doesn't want to take that decision on his own because there's a large community now using the platform. What if someone doesn't want to use it? So it's better to think of all of them. So what Bob suggests is for Mary to go and put out a proposal or a feature request out there into the community. So Mary goes and suggests or proposes that this review feature should be there. So then the entire community, regardless of wherever they are, they could go and vote for this particular proposal. So they can voice out their opinion. So they can say, so you can see in this example, John goes ahead and says that yes, he likes this particular feature that Mary is suggesting, and he has dealt with very, very great farmers, so he wants this functionality. So likewise, people can vote. It doesn't need to be all positive votes, there can be negative votes as well. So through the community, we can decide what features are going to be realized into the platform. So you can see, if you think of the normal Web 2.0, let's say you wanted a dislike button on Facebook. Can you go and suggest that? And do you think that it will be implemented immediately? You cannot, because it's all managed by a central authority. It's governed by a centralized system. But since from the root level itself, Bob's platform was built around the community can go ahead and suggest things. The community can propose, decide, and implement. This is so much powerful. So what is the differentiator here? So what is the difference between Web 2.0 in this particular product design? What is the difference between Web 2.0? So there is no central control, as we discussed, right? So no intermediaries. So because of that, there is no central unit like a bank governing everything. People can exchange the finances back and forth. They can use the Otter coins to purchase things, and that directly goes into the farmer's wallet or directly to the farmer. The community can vote and they can decide on things that they want to use. So the key takeaway would be, because of the decentralization, because it's all distributed, there's a lot of fairness, openness. Features are all realized through a vetting process. Anyone can go and review, anyone can go and see, okay, what's going to be next on this platform, and they can vote and they can share their they can give their consensus in order to get something realized. So these are all the fundamental beliefs or the value chain of Web3. Right, so let's try to look at a typical user journey on a Web3 platform. So what would be a typical user journey? So there is this concept called a wallet on Web3. This is the starting point. So what is a wallet? So if you think of your normal wallet, maybe you might be having it even right now with you. Do you go ahead and share your wallet with everyone? Generally not, right? If you go ahead and keep it somewhere, maybe someone might steal it, right? So similarly, a Web3 wallet contains different things like your normal wallet. So you might be having your driver's license, you might be having your identity, you might be having money inside of it, so much more, photographs of your kids, I don't know, right? So in a Web3 wallet, you would be having similar things. All the types of currencies that you accumulated, it could be Otter coin, Bitcoin, all of those will be stored there in the wallet. And then different rare collectibles that you have collected, things like NFTs, different things that you collected over time. So those will also be there. And the wallet is the one that matches your identity. So what do you do? So when you're connecting with Bob's platform, what you would do is you would connect this personal wallet into that platform first. That allows you to spend the Otter coin inside of your wallet on that platform. So then within the platform, you have different types of operations. So you might be buying coffee, you might be donating, you might be doing certain things there. So for all of these interactions, it'll go back into this wallet application and it'll try to interact with the application back and forth. And you are the one authorizing all of those. The wallet is with you, it's personal, it's not on Bob's platform. It's something that you bring in, and for whatever operation that happens, you are the one authorizing all of that. So this is basically the user journey. So since this is the typical user journey, when we are designing products, we need to educate the user on how they can create a wallet, how they can connect it, because even though blockchain has been there for quite some time, it's not that mainstream. People are still using fiat currencies or normal dollar, pound, normal currencies that we use. So it's always better to educate on this terminology. For a user to follow this particular journey, what are the basic steps that he would need? So any Web3 solution should make sure that they introduce the terminology and explain all of these. And then since these are all related to crypto, it's always better that you give a trial version or a demo version where people can explore and just try out things. rather than trying to spend their valuable crypto and try to have adverse effects, because there are so many platforms out there. So it's always better to have a demo version available or a demo option where you can safely experiment on a new platform and try things out. So yeah, so on that note, so let's try to run off into the breakout rooms and just have a discussion around what we discussed so far. So maybe just take some time and try to post what you feel about Web3 in general after listening to Bob and after listening to what we discussed so far.
Okay, thank you, Lasitha. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone, we are going to send you off into Mural, into your breakout rooms now in a moment. And what you will find in the chat now, great, thanks Anupa, are 6 allocated rooms. I'm not sure we're going to be using them all. So if we're not going to be using them all, probably a lot less in those. But 4 rooms, so ignore number 5 and 6. Thanks, Yuen Yen. And just navigate to the room that corresponds with the breakout room that you have been allocated to. And just to mention, there will be a chance at the end to ask Lasitha more technical, more detailed questions about this. It's quite a broad topic. There's a lot of meat in it. And so if you're wanting more information and more detail, there certainly will be an opportunity for that. So let's send you all off into the breakout room. And just to clarify the time there, Lasitha, we got, what, 10 minutes there? What was the...
I think around 20 minutes. Yeah, you can have a good discussion.
20 minutes. Okay, 20 minutes, and then enjoy, make it a fruitful conversation, explore, experiment, play, and generate lots of questions which we can bring into the decompression zone after.
Right.
Adieu.
Okay. 4 rooms, 4 persons per room, perhaps 5. There you go. And people are flying away.
Fly, fly, fly.
There they go. Yes, who have we here? Okay. Okay. Navindra is still here. Let me see. 4 persons, 3 persons, and 3 persons. So we've got John here. Okay, let me help John to room. Let me see. Okay.
I think that was very nicely and very simply told to the, because I realized that we take so many terminologies for granted because, both of us are in the process of, understanding it better. But I thought that, to carry the, to see the difference of what it was, how it is, and what you're supposed to do. So I think that, discover, then create, and then use. I think those 3 things came across very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lasitha, I kind of have a few questions as well, and maybe you could speak a little bit more to...
Sure.
Obviously, I think one of the advantages of Web3 and blockchain technology is that it is decentralized, and you've emphasized that. Obviously, there's a lot of advantages in terms of bypassing a middleman and make it more equitable, more efficient. And I think there's also going to be some challenges, some obstacles in terms of political interest. Banks certainly probably don't want to be bypassed as a middleman. The politicians want to regulate, and I know cryptocurrency is facing that challenge. And so what kind of obstacles do you perhaps foresee in terms of the development of Web3 and the application and integration into communities as this method of exchange and payment becomes more and more popular, and the education of it becomes more widespread.
Yes, so definitely, I think, Colin, the ones that you emphasized are there. So there's a lot of backlash coming from centralized organizations and institutions. So one of the main challenges would be, let's say, even the example that we discussed. So building a platform which empowers farmers. So farmers are ones who are using fiat currencies. So it becomes relatively challenging to give that awareness to them that cryptocurrencies function in this way, and it's going to be a benefit for you and you should start using it. That's the very first challenge, getting that into their mind and making them aware of what this is the first challenge. So the next challenge after that would be, how are we going to allow them to convert these cryptocurrencies or these digital currencies into fiat money, right? The normal currency or the normal currency that they use, because having a digital currency out there makes no sense. They can't buy their food from that, so they need to convert that into their fiat currency. So with that, again, the legal implications come into play based on where they live, where you're trying to deploy the particular product or the platform. It depends on who has access in order to convert the cryptocurrencies back into their fiat currencies. So those are like the main challenges as I see.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
I think
sorry, Anupa, one more quick question. And so I imagine there are already innovations that are being rolled out in disadvantaged areas in the poorer parts of the world to make cryptocurrency, not only cryptocurrency, more available and accessible, and something that's available for people everywhere to be able to participate in. But as you say, to be able to convert that into fiat, maybe through ATM machines, maybe through a credit card or something like that. And so those innovations in themselves are emerging from within the blockchain ecosystem.
Yes.
I have a question.
Sorry, Anupa.
Go ahead.
I was just adding to that.
So Anupa has been convincing me to get a WWJ coin. Now suddenly I get her idea. In the past, we were playing with how do you say it? Merchandise. That's the word. So WWJ merchandise. Now I am the only one in the crew who has been digging into how to get this mug sent to Brazil. You know, how to get this tote bag to Anupa in India. It's really difficult. It's really difficult, either in producing, either in the logistics, either in getting the financials, swapped from this place to the other place. So receiving euros in Europe, but getting the euros in the States needs a bank, and it comes with a lot of hassle. Doable, but not for a volunteer organization, you would say. So Anupa, don't go away. Stay here with me. So imagine that we would have a WWJ.
You've got your blur function on, Anupa.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit blurry.
Sorry for the
Almost.
the
Oh, that looks good.
That to her.
Yeah.
But really, Lasitha, don't look at her. Look at me.
I can see all of you. I'm on gallery mode.
Even then, I'm quite demanding. You know that. So if we would have a WWJ platform, in your explanation, we could have direct contact with our community members. We do have members, and it just for the sake of the example, if I would check with the community members, like, okay, who wants to have a bag like the one Anupa has, how would that work then? Is that an example you could talk us through?
Yeah, so let's say we make WW3, like the Wednesday Web Jam, kind of a Web3 solution, right? So you can take the bag as a utility. similar to the coffee. And then you can introduce some kind of a coin or some offering that they can buy into and build your community. And then later on, have different types of incentives. But moreover, the important thing there is you can look at the pulse of the community, because people are here for a reason. They are all designers, or maybe they see some value here, right? And they also get an option to suggest and propose different types of, yes, exactly that. So they get a chance to suggest and propose different initiatives, right? And you could have the platform in such a way that they could, you could try to see what are the ones that everyone likes, everyone loves, and then go ahead and implement them on. So having close contact with that community, maybe on Discord or any platform for that nature, allows you to improve in a more drastical manner, which matches the community altogether.
So in a conceptual way, I got it. I know what Anupa has been trying to tell me, and I am happy she asked you to explain it to me. So in concept, I understand. But what would, if we would try to make it concrete, what would be the first step that we have to do? So the members we have, and we are connected, let's say, still with Web 2 solutions as LinkedIn or a WhatsApp group, and or Facebook, we still have those solutions in place. So if we would choose for a Web3 solution, what would be the first thing to do?
First thing I would think that you should do is to think of the bigger costs. Why are you going for Web3? Because Web3 is not for every Web2 solution. Decentralization, all of that adds a lot of complexity. So you need to think, what are you trying to solve with Web3? Why are you going there? So if you take again Bob's example, Bob wanted to empower the farmer, get rid of the intermediaries, make sure that the farmer gets more value for his coffee. Rather than middlemen taking more commissions and him receiving a very minor amount for his coffee. So you need to first of all identify what is the goal. Like why do you want to go to Web3 is the first thing.
Okay. I have an answer, because I've been working on this for a few, past few weeks. Okay, I have an answer. So my answer would be to shape a very inclusive community that is passionate about change or design for change or some craziness. But this inclusive and I don't know the English word, but this inclusive feeling, the way how we are now, what we are feeling, and we are chatting and really are interested in each other and the topics, and allowing this community to grow. Perhaps, if I would say it in an even higher goal, and show people kindness is okay.
Yeah.
And that is exactly, I think, with Web3 is that once you find the purpose of the community, the aim, the goal, what is it, and then you figure out what do you want to do as a community. Like you said, kindness, that can be an incentive. Because let's say if we take what we are doing at the Wednesday Web Jam, which is an online communication platform, kindness to one another, is something which is very important to our value system, right? So, and I think with Web3, those things kind of come in place. But what Lasitha said very rightly is that like even for the projects that I'm working on, do we need Web3 right now? Because the thing is that community building survived without Web3 for so long. It suddenly exploded, right? How do you use that Web3, the reason for Web3, to onboard people, whether it's the farmer, whether it's, let's say, Wednesday Web Jam as a community? How do you use that, onboarding process from the purpose to, let's say, using it as a instrument. How do we do that? So I think those things are very important. And what Colin said is that, yeah, there are regulations. Every country has a crypto regulation, or there are things which are external. Like right now, there is a big Lasitha, how should I talk about the merge in like 2 sentences?
What do you mean merging?
The Ethereum, the merge that people are talking about. So there are different, blockchains also where all this exists, the cloud for the Web3. They are also going through changes. So it's so that onboarding, you have to tell people that, okay, this is the beginning, but through the journey, there will be changes, internal and external, and you have to embrace that. So I feel it's Web3 is not for the weak-hearted.
Yeah, and another thing would be, now even like if you think of Wednesday Web Jam, some core value that you might have is, let's try to portray what the designers are doing, right? So they might be working on illustrations, they might be producing really cool things during their leisure time, right? Why not create a platform where that can be incentivized, right? So the designers themselves can work on these artworks, and that can be the product. So they can directly go and create NFTs, unique artwork, and put it out through the Wednesday Web Jam community. And others who are interested can go ahead and directly buy them. So that could be another value or another cause other than kindness, if I may coin it, which matches the blockchain structure or the decentralized approach that we are discussing here.
So Lasitha, one thing about this decentralized system is, some initiatives like Bob's has a social entrepreneurship sort of aspect to it to empower farmers, but it's also a business. And when you decentralize, you mentioned the vote, and is the vote the mechanism that drives decision making? Because there still has to be an element of decision making even in a decentralized system. And when it then becomes a business, it's almost like adopting a Web3 platform for a business or social entrepreneurship project is aligned with a new type of thinker, a kind of a new way of engaging in capitalism, someone who's idealistic, and so it really is almost a whole new paradigm. Yeah, thanks, Yunyan. Time-wise, we've got a couple of minutes, 4 more minutes left.
Piero, would you like to say something? He's our service designer wanting to bloom into Web3. Would you like to add a few words, or just type it into the chat if you're busy? Maybe he's busy. And
sorry, I didn't get the question.
I said, would you like to add any comments or say anything? Because I know you have a lot of thoughts and insights to add.
No. At the moment, no, because I'm enjoying the conversation. I totally agree with your point of view, and I am still focusing on the importance of community, as we talked about a few days ago, because I really think that in Web 3.0, the community has a role, a huge role in all the design process. Since the beginning, before even the research phase, you have to create a community, understand its need, involve all the community on one goal, try to understand if your idea can come into life, and then start with the design process. I use the community along the design process. So during the co-design phase, for example, when you have a prototype, you can test with the community all the feature. I really am thinking about this topic because I really think that community is the plus inside the design process of Web 3.0 solution. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I think that community, yeah, you start with the community, start with people, and then you move on. Okay, see everybody coming back. Over to you, Colin.
Yeah, well, great. Really, really interesting. Thank you, Lasitha, for the conversation here. Welcome back, everyone, from the breakout room. I hope it was an interesting, stimulating conversation, the start of many. You know, this Web3 is here to stay. A lot of skeptics say, it's going to go away. It's just the next fad. But certainly, Lasitha, I'm sure you'll agree that this is here to stay. It's not something that's going to come and go. It's almost like a new paradigm. So, Lasitha, perhaps you had a few questions that you wanted to ask of the plenary in terms of their experience.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, like, how did it go? Anyone who likes to share? Maybe the interesting discussions you had within your breakout rooms?
Yeah, from the group one, and we had many questions because it was technical session and where it is implemented, what is the case studies, how actually, if you can give us any example, right? That okay, this is a good example where the Web3 is implemented. We were actually speculating like an examples of I forgot the name. E-commerce sites. Are those an example of this, or no?
Let me quickly take a different example. So let's say you want to get a loan, right? You are not having enough money, and you're reaching out to a bank to get a loan. There are so many obstacles there, right? You need documents. You need to prove your credit score. There are so many things involved there, and a bank would be validating all of that before they give you a loan. But if you think of a platform which is decentralized, you can have a community that is willing to fund you, and that community can give you that particular loan. So it might be 10 or 20 people. It's like a GoFundMe on Web3. So that's one of the use cases, something different to what we saw that Bob was trying to do. I hope that answers and gives a bit more clarity.
Lovely. Thanks, Lasitha. Thanks, Preeti. Please just remind you, we will, if you come, stay on after the hour and come to the decompression zone backstage. There will be a chance to continue the conversation and ask more questions of Lasitha. Before we close the hour, move towards it, are there any other burning questions or any other comments? Maybe just a general feedback in terms of what surprised you, something that emerged from the conversation you had that was insightful.
We need to investigate this topic more.
Well, that's a beautiful lead into, thanks, Donna, a beautiful lead into the next part of this Web3 journey. Because next week in the Web Jam, just to introduce our speaker for next week, and then I'll close with Lasitha, we have another dive into this ecosystem where Jamie Parmenter will join us and give us an overview of Web3 and transitioning to the new industry. So a really beautiful segue into from today into exploring this a little bit more, Donna. Yeah. And just to please remind everyone that if you have any ideas for the Web Jam that you'd like to bring forward, please connect with us. We're welcome to bring your ideas. We can have a conversation, and perhaps you could be joining us on the screen here with one of your inspired ideas and conversations and insights. So please do consider that. You can like and follow us, WednesdayWebJam.com, and Wednesday Web Jam is the place to go. These are all the wonderful crew members and the people that bring the magic into the system. All those pretty faces, beautiful faces, handsome faces. And
Yes, you too, Colin. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, well, wonderful. I actually just recently became a part of the crew here, so lovely. They've all been my family for the last 3 years anyway, so it feels like a glove that fits. And please, can you support us? All of this energy that goes into creating the web jam and keeping it going, I can assure you that it doesn't just happen. There are a lot of different exchanges that happen behind the scenes, and people give of their time and their energy, and there are expenses, there are costs involved in keeping this ecosystem going. So if you'd like to buy us a coffee and support us in any way, it would be really appreciated. So there we go, you can jump in there. And so before I just close off and thank Lasitha, you are welcome to stay on. We will stop YouTube recording in a moment and come and join us in the backstage for half an hour. It's much more informal, and we can continue the conversation there. But Lasitha, I just want to thank you again. Thank you so much for your effort and your energy and your insights and bringing this really interesting topic into the ecosystem. Thank you. How do you feel after that? Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
Oh, Union,
Thanks a
we
lot
have to
for
say
having
bye
me.
to YouTube.
Yes, I will say goodbye to you
Bye,
too.
YouTube.
After I have thanked Colin for hosting this jam with Lasitha, for being a handler as a crew member, going through all the processes, templates, steps, and comments. I am his mentor, I may say this. You have done a very well job. Yes, well done, well done. Okay, let's go into backstage.